Hey, what's going on, family? Glad everybody made it in. Who got an echo?
That was you.
I don't know why I would have an echo.
You don't have it anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, so we're here. Today is Wednesday, and we had a lot of things that happened here recently, overnight, and the initial thought was to kind of go through and weigh the couple of different courses of action, possibilities for SCOTUS going through listening to the tariff ordeal. However, I think we might have a few other pivot points that we might need to make that could turn out to be a bit more uh, important in the immediate than the actual ruling of tariffs. So, with that being said, let me ask the first question, which is always, I'll start with you, Rich, because you're always the fastest. Uh, how has your week been? How's your day been? I thought you were going to be on the road, man.
Yeah, I thought so too. Yeah, week's been okay.
All right. Deuce, catch us up with you. You were gone last week. We missed you. You missed a hell of a podcast last week.
Yeah, listen, I was ready for it. That one hurt me. That hurt me because I was ready. Yeah, worked. But we'll probably touch on it. But I just want to go ahead and say, yo, Prop 50, baby. Prop 50. I should have changed my name to Prop 50.
Jeez.
That's why I should have changed my name too. But listen, I tell you what, I've never been so excited for an election. A mayoral election in a city that I never lived in. That was right now.
So now that you're so happy that Prop 50 passed.
I ain't talking about 50, the mayoral election.
Oh.
Yeah.
I thought you were still excited about Prop 50 because if that's
Prop
the
50
case.
is dope. Prop 50 is cool. Prop 50 though I like Prop 50, but when you think about like the next order of effects that can happen, that could get kind of tricky.
No.
As far as New York,
no. Don't backtrack.
I'm happy about Prop 50.
Yeah, Democrats had a great night last night. Stick your chest out, but just do me a favor. When you stick your chest out, I don't want to hear about you saying that now you're transgendered or this or that. Because what you're doing is you're imitating the behavior of Donald Trump, President Trump. So I don't want to hear more criticism about his behavior and his mannerisms, and his leadership abilities, and all the things he's doing. Because what Prop 50 did is a reflection of exactly what he did in Texas. So keep that same spirit.
Did they even put it to a vote in Texas? That's why I couldn't remember. I think they just did it. I don't think it was a vote.
It doesn't. Here's the thing. It doesn't matter if what they did in Texas to help President Trump keep the House by getting 5 extra seats, whatever you do in response, which you gerrymandered again, but you did it, in a nice way by saying, we'll let the people vote. Because let me tell you what would have happened if the vote had come out no. They would have still gerrymandered. See, that's what happens because they did it here in Sacramento. They voted. They wanted the people, the taxpayers like myself, to build the stadium downtown. The voters said no. They went right around that and said, we'll build it anyway. And we'll still make you pay with the parking downtown. See, that's the questions that people don't ask. What if we vote this down? They would still do it anyway, period. So Governor Newsom, you're no different than President Trump. You're no different.
I think 1,000 times different. I think for one, he put it to a vote. I know you're talking about what if. Hold on.
It was
not going to go down to what if should have been inside.
It was not supposed to go to a vote because they created.
Texas wasn't supposed to do it either. It wasn't time.
Well, wait a minute. If you're telling me that Donald Trump is out of control as the president and he got them to gerrymander in Texas, I would say you're right. But you don't turn around and do the same thing in California and then continue because you're being a hypocrite.
How so?
Because you're doing the same thing. You're gerrymandering when you're outside of the census.
How should they fight it? What would be the right way to fight it then?
The right way to fight is to keep things the way it is, to say that just because he's doing something that's wrong, because they gerrymandered when it came outside the census of the every 10 years in Texas, here in California, they voted to have an independent commission do the district after every 10 years. That came through Schwarzenegger, a Republican. So Governor Gavin Newsom, you're doing the same thing that Trump's doing. So if Trump goes out, I'm sorry.
But I don't think that answers the question, because what is the how do they combat it? Right.
You don't combat it. You don't combat it by doing the same thing. How you going to combat it is you'll say what he did in Texas was wrong, and we're not going to do that here in the state of California. We have rules already set in place.
How does that fix anything or challenge anything? I mean, how does that even?
You're doing it. Let me tell you something. That's hypocrisy in its finest. They created an independent commission to do the districting here in California. You went right around that and said, well, because Trump's out of control in Texas, we're going to stay here in California and fight him back by doing the same thing. You don't fight evilness with evilness, because that means you're no better than that person is. So I don't want to hear people complain about Trump doing this and Trump doing that, because whatever he's doing, if you have to do the same thing, but do it in a different form or fashion, but it's the same thing to keep up with him, then that's what you're going to do. It's still a theft. It's still a theft.
I don't disagree with what you're, or the premise with what you're saying. However, the question again remains. So let's look at the way the districts would have been redrawn in Texas, what it would have resulted in for the Republicans, and what it would have meant for the Democrats, and not just the Democrats in general, but the people at the end of the day. What, just by standing by and allowing it to happen, is not going to assist anybody in the Democrats.
No. Because this person is acting crazy, you're going to say, well, we're not going to stand by and let him get away with this. So you do the same thing he's doing.
Yeah.
That's what it really comes down to. You're doing the exact same thing he's doing.
Well, then why?
Because if this state wasn't so blue, if you thought you would have lost that vote, you wouldn't have taken it to a vote. You just would have did it anyway. Just like
we can't speak on the hypotheticals. I see where you're going, but that's
okay. Yeah. Then hypothetically, when they changed the districts in Texas, why did they say, well, they have a chance of gaining 5 seats? It hasn't happened yet. That's the hypothetical. They think they can gain 5. So I'm taking your same argument, throwing it right back at you. There's no guarantee. No. When they changed the districts in Texas, they'd gain 5 seats. The vote hasn't happened yet.
That's what their literal plans showed. That's why they did it. That wasn't a hypothetical.
No, because it hasn't been done yet.
No.
They're thinking it's going to happen like that, but there's no guarantee of that.
Just because it hasn't been finalized doesn't mean that the equation hasn't been started, right? Just be like if you know that there's smoke, the result, generally speaking, is going to be fire. No. And so
that's a hypothetical because it hasn't happened yet.
No, okay, I think you're looking at this from a moral standpoint, and I don't disagree with you morally.
Well, wait. You and Mr. Deuce over here has told me that morally that Trump has no morals. He has no fabric of righteousness in him, that he'll do anything and everything, and he's hurting the democratic society called America. That's what y'all been telling me since last year. So which one is it?
No. That's all true. Two things to be true at once, right? So I can agree with you morally. Like, is it the right thing to do morally speaking? Probably not. Are the Republicans as a whole willing to disregard the moral etiquette of the day in order to simply slice through the political fabric so that they can maintain, gain, and control the government like they have been for the last year? Yes, they are. And so the question still becomes, especially when you talk about this being a bit of a war, how do you fight a war if you're simply on the sideline?
No, I'm not going for that. If you want to fight what he's doing in Texas, then get down there and get those people to vote Democrat in Texas. You don't do the same trick out here in California and then put a spin on it, put lipstick on the pig and say, well, look, we're different than he is. That's BS. You don't do redistrict across these states until 10 years after the census. That's the correct way of doing it.
I think you're going by like how things should be done because they're written down and codified, things like that.
No,
but I got it. Let me get this point out, Rich. It's all codified and written down. You're saying do it according to the laws that were put forth, right? But we all know that he doesn't operate that way.
It doesn't matter.
By his own guidebook, so you can't.
He doesn't operate a certain way for you. Yeah. Now you're going to start working the same pattern that he's doing.
You can't use that same legal apparatus against a man that doesn't recognize the laws in the first place.
You've already, you guys have already lost. See, this is what
it seems like we're winning. It seems like we're winning. It seems like we're winning.
This is what Trump knows. It doesn't matter what I do. If I do something so crazy, you'll take your ass out there and do the same thing. So you ain't no better than I am. That's what Trump knows. Now that's straight street talk. My black ass gets out here and robs a liquor store for $20, saying he's an Arab and he's really a Punjab from India because I'm trying to come up. And then you say, well, I'm not gonna rob that Arab or that Punjab. I'm gonna go ahead and rob this Chinaman or Vietnamese or Chinese or Korean. You ain't no different than I am. And that's what Trump knows. And that's why I said it doesn't matter what he does. Remember he was talking and cursing and belittling people. Now you see Gavin Newsom talking and cursing about fuck around and find out. You ain't no better than Trump is. That's what I'm saying.
But why do they have to be?
Oh well, that's for you guys to answer.
No, I'm asking you because that's your point.
No.
You make that.
What I've always said is you should be true to who you are.
Yeah.
So when the Democrats and others have said that Trump's out of control, his behavior is unbecoming, unfitting of the president. Now you got the governor of California talking about we're gonna do a vote because he knows he's gonna win in the vote. So that ain't no vote when you know you can win. That ain't no test.
Rich, that's not. It's Rich. Okay, according to that logic, then they don't even have the vote. Then, right?
He didn't have to. He could have just did it himself. That's exactly what I'm saying.
But you would have been the first one, hooping and hollering, saying that it's invalid because they did not have the vote.
No, because I'm not surprised. Because what Trump did is Trump says, "I'm gonna go out here and act a fool in Texas," and then California says, "Well, we'll act a fool right back." And then he runs to Indiana, I believe North Carolina. Maybe in Florida. I had it memorized.
Missouri.
Thank you, Missouri. So I think right now he may be, by the time everything is, all the dust is settled, he'll have gained 2 seats if the voting goes the way the Democrats and the Republicans say the votes are going to go. He would have picked up 2 seats, not 5. But he would have still picked up some seats by doing the redistrict outside of every 10 years for the Census Bureau.
Maryland came out and said if another Republican state does it, they would do it.
You know what? Now, with Governor Moore, I'm not surprised at all. Because if you're a Democrat and you're a governor of the state, a Democratic governor, the Democratic Party's already called you and said, hey, look, this is what we got to do. Get on board.
So do you believe that people should change their tactics up?
What I'm saying is whatever Trump does, it doesn't even matter because the Democrats will do the same thing. So when you said this you said this three podcasts back, you said it's really, it's a two-sided coin. You're correct. You are correct.
Yeah, but
there's no difference.
They got to change their tactics up, right? It's kind of like when Ali fought George Foreman. Right? Ali had to change his tactics up, man. So the Democrats got to change their tactics. I told you
between robbing a person who could have been maybe a Punjab Indian versus an Arab. And then you go out here and rob a Vietnamese or a Korean or a Chinese. The theft is the key. So it doesn't matter what the Republican Party does. If the Democrats have power, they'll do the same thing, but they'll do it in a different way. But it's still a theft. It's still not honoring the people. Check this out. If you really wanted to honor the people, then you would have term limits for those in the Congress. Like you have the term limit for the president, but they don't want that. If they really wanted to pass the budget right now, they would end the filibuster. But they said, well, we don't quite have the votes for that. The filibuster should have never been put in there to begin with. But you want to sit here.
But again, that was the president putting pressure on them to push the filibuster. And so, right, it goes back to what I was saying when the election first happened, which is there are no more rules. Right.
I agree.
And this is why I was saying that, because there are no more rules. Yeah. And that there's no more standard or there's no perception of morality. There's just, if you do it, we're going to do it too. Look at what the mayor-elect of New York was telling the president last night. He told him, I got 4 words for you. turn the volume up, because of what he plans on while he's in office. So the question becomes, I don't disagree with the morality of what you're saying, and like the people that are caught in the middle. Look at the Americans that are still stuck for SNAP, right? And somewhat searching for WIC. But at the end of the day, do you continue to just sit there and get punched in the face, or do you begin to play defense and fight back?
I would say no. You can fight back, but not fight in a way that's immoral. Because what I'm really saying is this: you cannot talk about the president is disrespecting the position when everything he does, you turn around and do the same thing. And this is what Trump has known about this country from the very beginning of its inception. This country has said, we give them freedom. Well, freedom for who? Because when you enslaved those Africans and brought them over here, you didn't give them no freedom. So no, you've been talking.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
I'm just saying the Democrats had a good day yesterday. And I'm not surprised by that. But don't ever tell me about Trump being unbecoming when you'll turn around and do the same trick.
Rich, it's not the same thing, man. Like we're talking about right now, modern times, right? I don't want to go back
to make an excuse
to the 1800s, the 1200s.
No, your foundation, hold on.
But no, let me get this point out. I'm sorry, because you try to jump on one of my words and get one of those rich points in. So what I'm saying is, if you're looking at the battle, right, the war, right, the fighting for healthcare, the fighting for all these things for regular Americans, you gotta change your tactics up to defeat someone who don't give a fuck.
If you change your tactics up that resemble what he's doing, you're no different than him. Now,
if you don't, they're gonna keep taking L's. They took L's. They took big L's, man.
No, wait a minute. I took an L by holding to my integrity and got ran out of my position at Local 1000. But I still have my integrity. So if you're telling me, Mr. Deuce, that if somebody was out here selling crack cocaine to help boost their business, and then you said, well, look, hey, Rich, man, we're going to go bankrupt. We don't have to sell a little crack now. We can do it a little different. We don't have to sell it to the kids and stuff, That's what I'm saying. You're no different than Donald Trump.
Hold on. Are you saying, are we both selling coke? Are we selling, we in a cocaine business? Somebody comes in selling crack?
No, I'm saying you and I have a liquor store. And this other guy in the store is doing better because he's selling drugs to everybody. And we said, hey, you just can't sit here and just take this loss. So we ain't gonna sell it to the kids, we got our respect about ourselves. But if you're grown 18, we'll sell it to you because we ain't gonna let this other cat just run us off. It comes down to your integrity. And when you don't have integrity, you don't have values you don't have principles, your platform that you live by. And if you tell me, well, I'm just gonna have to get mine, I ain't gonna sit here and just let him run me. And he's acting unbecoming, but you do the same thing. You're no different, you're no better than him.
I push back on that statement because I feel like you can keep your core and change your tactics within a range, right? There's a range you can do that in. Okay, if we're in a fight, man, and you jabbing me, and I'm trying to jab you back, if I kick you, that's changing my tactics, man. You gotta change your tactics sometimes to win. You can't just keep doing the same thing and expecting something different. It's crazy.
You go out there in Texas and try to convince people they should vote Democrat. You don't try to change the law. You don't illegally just do something here to keep up with what he's doing in Texas. That's BS. That's just BS, man. I don't care what you say.
They've already put restrictions on what you can do when people vote. Hell, in Georgia, you can't even give a man water when he's in the voting line. Against the law.
That's a great point. Yeah. That's a great point. So, look, I don't belong to the Democratic Party. I don't belong to the Republican Party. I belong to Richard's party of integrity. Let me break this down for you.
Bro, you got these catchphrases for days, man. I feel like you just sit back here and think of catchphrases. You probably got a notebook of catchphrases.
I was supposed to keep my mouth shut, but you just know how to hit my trigger button. I'll keep you with all we talk. Yeah, you get them going every time. Talk about Gavin, you'll get them every time. And I fall for it every time. I come in. Y'all can't stand Trump, and I can't stand Gavin. I guess we're on the same page. We're both equal.
Oh man!
I don't disagree. They're politicians. They're multimillionaire politicians that have the exact same goal at the end of the day, which is to get more power.
But wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, when he ran in 2016, he was a multimillionaire. We can legitimately say now, after his second go around in the White House with that crypto, Donald Trump's now really a billionaire.
Okay.
Now that lie has actually become the truth.
Yeah. And he did it in the White House.
Other Democratic presidents have enhanced themselves while in the White House, but not like this.
Not like this.
It was funny because they're still trying to hate. I mean, I get it. Nancy does the insider trading, but damn, bro,
change the law.
I got it, but like you said, people becoming billionaires. We got billionaires running agencies. Come on, man.
Until they have bipartisan support in the House and the Senate, that they will not get rid of the ability for a congressman that they're voting on these bills that affect trading. They will not eliminate the fact that they can buy and sell those stocks.
I take it
support on that issue. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I cut you off. Go ahead.
No.
Keith,
so they have bipartisan support on that issue. There's not too many bipartisan support they have currently in these last few years with Donald Trump in the White House. But that's one. No term limits. That's a second. What's a third?
Why are you thinking about that, bro? I think they need more than bipartisan. They need a whole new Congress. Because why would I? They're not going to cut off their money supply. Insider trading, they all in on it. You need an entirely new Congress. You got to do what Reagan did to the air traffic controllers back in the day. Fire all of them and bring in new ones.
This comment is so big it covered Richard. I just want to throw this out here, and I'm not going to read
No. Put it back up again.
I'm sorry. That's the way you phrased it.
So I guess I will read it in all fairness, because we got people on TikTok and Instagram that need to hear it also. So the biggest mistake Democrats have made was thinking that playing by the rules while Republicans have been able to circumvent and ignore them. This isn't a new MO. It's a means to an end. Dems don't want to resort to these things, but when freedom and democracy itself is on the line, political warfare is the only option. Dems are doing what they're doing to protect the people and the Constitution. Republicans and MAGA are doing what they're doing to exploit, oppress, and rob the people and dismantle. Oh, it kept going.
Can Keith Ross come on? Because that's pretty good.
Let me. If he might be busy.
Okay.
Might just be but I would definitely put the link in the box. And if Keith, I meant to give you a call anyway, man. If you want to hop on, there goes the link right there.
He's not totally wrong.
No, he's not. And so that goes to, again, what tactics would you employ?
You have to convince people to vote Democrat, but you don't employ any tactic that resembles what he's doing. Because you're basic. If I'm a Republican, I'm going to eat you alive because I'm going to say, you know better than I am. See, this is what Democrat. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
If you're being outspent by millions of dollars on campaign ads, if every time you are on TV, it's a campaign trail, so they control the propaganda. Hell, the Pentagon don't even want anchors. They kick the media out.
The 2024 election, within 4 or 5 months, Kamala Harris has spent $2.5 billion.
Yeah, but
twice the amount of money that Donald Trump spent trying to get reelected.
But I'm not talking about the elections. I'm talking about what's happening now. The Republicans.
But I'm talking about the past. So what's happening now is a reflection of the past. It's the same thing.
Absolutely not. It's not, because Donald Trump won the presidency. He won.
But he got outspent in the election. So she outspent him by twice the amount in the election.
But
so when you say he's spending money now, it doesn't matter. She did that same trick last year.
So that has absolutely nothing to do with the point of right now, Republicans are literally billions of dollars as if they're still on the campaign trail in order to push out fictitious narratives, misinformation, as well as doing their best and their damnedest to circumvent the Constitution of the United States of America.
When you cannot because I don't support the Democrats or the Republicans.
When
you have an angst against the president, it shows. I don't have an angst against this president. Now, when you bring up Gavin Newsom, I'll tell you that he helped run me out of office. And I'll tell you that because it's the truth.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you he's no different than President Trump. I see a lot of similarities of two white men on opposite ends of the coast, both born into wealth, both been given everything their entire life, both have done things that were shady in their past and have gotten away with it. And Gavin Newsom said, oh, you think you can act tough in Texas? Well, I'll do this same trick here in California because I know I'll win the vote. And if he had lost the vote for Prop 50, they would have still changed those districts. Believe that.
Did you see that written down somewhere? Did they say that in the news conference? Did they put out a project Prop 50 PDF that was online that said Gavin Newsom will and shall do this? And Gavin said, that ain't me. That ain't me.
I asked you to come on so you can try to help these two individuals. I mean,
here we go.
At some point,
hey, let me set this up real quick because I've done a couple of platinum guest series with my man Keith Ross here, platinum producer, multi-talented gentleman right here. He is, but that's another show for another time. Go check out our interviews on the platinum guest series where he's selling the world's best mics. Hit it one time for the one time. Keith.
What's up, guys?
You got it, bro. Good to see you, man.
So okay, so I feel like there's a fundamental difference between Trump and really anybody else. And that fundamental difference is that regardless of whether somebody did or didn't do things in the past that are questionable, those people were not trying to dismantle the entire system that we have in place and replace it with an oligarchy and a dictatorship and take away people's freedoms. Perfect example, because the Heritage Foundation is behind all of this. In fact, before I even get to that, when Trump left office, right after he incited an insurrection against our Capitol building, he was at his lowest point. No one wanted to touch him. Fox News was sour on him. The whole Republican Party was sour on him. Lindsey Graham, who practically massaged his shoulders while he talked for his entire first term, distanced himself from him. And what ended up happening, I believe, was the Heritage Foundation, who created Project 2025 and also Project Esther, which you should definitely look up because it's even worse than Project 2025, and it is absolutely real. I think that they popped up, on Trump and saw that he still had a certain cult following and said, we can use this. And while he's at his lowest and he had no options, and nobody thought that he was ever coming back to take another term, they said, we will install you back in the White House. We will give you your orders and your plans, but you will never see consequences for any of the things that you've done. And you can take whatever you want and do whatever you want because we will make it possible for you. And that's exactly what they did. And that's why Stephen Miller is in the White House. That's why oh my God, Tom Homan is in this position of power that he's in. And so, fast forward, you have this I shouldn't even say Republican Party. There is no more Republican Party. There's MAGA. And they've all got a hive mind. And if you ever notice what goes on, whenever they have a talking point, it's like they spit it out and everybody becomes the mouthpiece for the same talking point, as if they came up with it themselves. And it's always the same unified thing. It's that same unified position on things that allowed them to get to where they're at, because there is no division. They are unified in their message.
Wait a minute, Keith.
And
hold on, Keith.
Sure.
Hold on.
It's a lot, I know.
No. First of all, when you say fundamental, that's a subjective word. Second thing, you said insurrection. That's factually incorrect. Those people who went to jail for that January 6th went to jail for obstruction of justice. That's the second thing. Third thing, you say it is MAGA. No, on those ballots, it says either Democrat, Republican, or one of the other parties. It does not say MAGA. That's factual.
I knew he was up to something he was writing. I knew it. I saw you right.
They're not officially calling themselves.
I knew he was on it.
No, first of all, they don't officially call themselves MAGA as a party, but you know what I'm saying when I say MAGA has replaced the entire Republican ideology.
On the ballot, it says Democrat, Republican, Green Party, Independent.
Absolutely.
Can we, okay, I think I found the middle ground. Could we agree that MAGA is a ideology within the Republican Party? You want to agree, Rich? Come on, you want to agree.
I said common sense says that yes.
Okay.
Now, am I going to call the Democratic Party? I'm going to say, is there a fraction of the Democratic Party who are socialists? I don't want to say socialists because I think that's being disrespectful to them. Now, they may identify themselves as being socialists, but see, when you don't have an attachment to neither party like myself, and I can look straight down the line. Here, one quick thing, and then I'll let Keith continue.
Sure.
When Biden came out the COVID situation, and they did all that relief and all of that, a lot of Republicans felt like that was an intrusion on their privacy regarding their body about being told they had to get vaccinated or blah, blah, blah. Now, that's how some Americans feel, some. And the country was really split down the middle on that. So I'm going to stop here because they brought up this just to get me going, Keith. I had to bring in the regulator.
Prop 50. That's all I said.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So whether or not it's called an insurrection now, they had thousands of people that tried to storm the Capitol building to prevent the election results from being certified. That is stopping a government process, which means that is the textbook definition of insurrection.
No, the court system said they got tried and convicted of obstruction of justice. They could not get the insurrection charge. So now, if you tell me that those judges in the court were wrong for how they viewed it, well, then I'll fall back.
Oh, how many people have been on trial for murder who actually murdered someone but were convicted of manslaughter? It doesn't change that it was murder or not. Yeah. And so the charges.
Beverly.
Yeah. So the charges, I get that they may not have been directly insurrection, but they were still as a result of an insurrection. But fast forward to now, and this is something that I think should be extremely personal to you, of all people, to all three of you, given the color of your skin, the things that they are doing right now to undermine the freedoms and undermine the liberties of Black and brown people in this country are insane. This Louisiana case right now that's in the hands of the Supreme Court could overturn the Voting Rights Act of 1965.
Hold on, wait, let me stop you right there for a second. I thought, Keith, we had something. Now Beverly wants to come on and say, who is this Richard guy? Richard, I'm the guy that you're looking for, Beverly. That's who I am. So let me say this. And hopefully she'll come on. Now I can talk to both of y'all at the same time. It's funny that you say that because I don't feel that President Trump is trying to undermine me as a Black person. Because ironically, it was Mr. Glass and maybe it was Deuce that decided they want to talk about Nigeria, about him going in to stop the slaughter of Christians by Muslims. Well, I thought Donald Trump was a racist. I thought he didn't care about Black people. But now he was talking about going into Nigeria, if he's telling the truth.
What's in the soil of Nigeria? Same thing. It's the same. Oil. It's a Venezuela play. It's a Venezuela play all over again.
Okay.
And not just that. And not just that, but if you look at what's going on in Africa right now, the people that he's bringing here, have you seen the color of all of them?
Yeah,
there's not one Black person that he's brought in from Africa. That
you know what? Hold on a second. This is where people really fool themselves. Never kind of put him in jail. Was always a Black person. Yeah, pretty fine, Bonnie Willis. She was trying to put him in jail. He had Tisha James, the snob, up in New York. Then you had Alvin Bragg. Every time Donald Trump turned around, it was a Black person doing the bidding of a white liberal trying to put him in jail. So if he's mad at Black folks right now, I get it. I'm looking. Look, we are looking for people here.
If that's the
Nah.
case, if that's what made him mad at black folks, then how do you explain the Central Park Five?
Thank you. I was about to
Because
say
that was far before, that was long before any of this.
No. Wait a minute, Keith. Hold on, Keith Ross. Oh, you coming to the party late. Because I didn't vote for Donald Trump in either one of these elections, and that was the reason why I would never vote for Donald Trump.
you just don't pivot, Rich. I ain't gonna let you off this one.
That is absolutely true.
That's not what he said. You said that you understand Trump's anger towards black people.
But I didn't
black women try to put him in jail.
No. The way he tried to slide, I'm like, hold on a second. You must have me confused, Mr. Ross. You walked into the terror dome, because I didn't vote for Trump in either one of these elections.
I never accused you of anything.
Yeah,
I'm simply making my case.
No.
You know?
Maybe Beverly Franklin is thinking that. See, I got my voting record.
Nah, Richard, but you know exactly what the man said.
Y'all probably voted for Trump and then sit on here.
Oh man, you doing it? That's the MAGA spin. That's the MAGA spin.
When it comes to voting for Trump, me voting for Trump, there's a better chance of me waking up tomorrow as a Chinese woman than voting for Trump.
No, voting for a Democrat, you'll wake up being transgender. That's what you'll do if you vote for a Democrat. But look,
Man.
we're all the same family. We're all family.
Yeah.
We're all family. We want the best for the country.
So can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Okay. So how do you feel about the Voting Rights Act of 1965? And for the people that don't know what that is the one of the most important legislations we've ever had that people bled and died for, that made black people one whole person instead of 3/5 of a person.
No. That's not true. I thought that, but that was not true. So hold on a second. That's not true, because I was led to believe that years ago, and someone had to set me straight on that. The Voting Rights Act of 65 was to ensure that blacks were not being discriminated against as far as voting. Now, that happened over 60 years ago. So some people say, wait a minute, it's time that we can end that. And other people say, no, we cannot end that. So there's two trains of thought on that. Here's what I said all along. All these people who were talking stuff about Trump, because if I'm P. Diddy, if I'm one of those his twin daughters, if I'm his son, one of his sons, and I want my daddy home, regardless of what he allegedly did, and this man in the White House who hates black folks has the power to let him out, I'm not calling this man racist. I'm gonna play it cool. See, I'm looking through everything. So if I'm in the family of Mr. Sean Combs, I'm asking President Trump, let my relative out, please, because I don't think you're a racist. Period. Now there's my problem.
So let's.
I'm just not sure what that has to do with the question that I was asking.
I don't hear you.
Thank you.
Okay.
I asked you about how do you feel about that being overturned, and you went Diddy and Trump. So, I'm just asking because
the thing is, at some point, those things will be overturned. They will be, because at that time they was trying to correct a great wrong in this country. Now, to some black folks, that great wrong of discrimination in many forms or in many areas still continues today. But to what magnitude? I've been knowing all along that that's going to eventually go away. I've always known that. Other black folks will not accept that, and they'll continue to fight for that. And I respect that. But when I'm fighting for Mr. Combs to come home because he didn't do anything wrong, let me stop right there.
Yeah, so before we push too much further, let's welcome Oscar back. It's been a while, my brother.
What's up, Oscar?
Hop in.
Hello.
And hop in on this. I'm just here mediating, working the background right now. But yeah, weigh in, Oscar. Weigh in.
I'm just catching up with what you guys are talking about. So I don't have anything to really say at the moment, but I'm sure I will have something to say.
Besides me, that's what that means.
Well, I do have another question in response to your answer about being fine with it because eventually it was going to be removed, right? So let's say we know that rape is wrong, right? And there's laws against rape, and so eventually you come to the realization that people are just going to rape people, one way or another. So why have the law, right? So do you feel like if discriminating against black people is wrong and it's already happening and it hasn't stopped happening, do you feel like removing the protections from discriminating against black people is a necessary thing, let alone a moral thing to do, especially right now when we still have the issue?
What I said was, at that time, discrimination against Black folks in voting was horrendous. And I said, at a certain point in time, though, is that magnitude of that time period still in this time period? I would say no. That's
because there's laws to protect against it. If you take those away, then it comes back.
That's a great point. But as long as you keep these certain things on the books, people can say, well, you're racially discriminating to help Black folks, and Black folks are saying, well, they're on the books because we're being discriminated against. A percentage of white America says, look, that has gone on long enough. We got to turn a page. And so Black America as a whole says, no, you have not fixed this. And we still need to have these protections on the books. This country will stay equally divided. I'm not saying that you're wrong, because you make great points. What I'm looking at it is, I'm looking at it from a long-term perspective. If you continue to give racial bias, even in hiring on jobs, at some point in time, white America as a whole is going to say, enough. We've had enough of this. Now,
well, they already have and that's how we ended up with Trump.
Okay, so
right.
This is what I was saying about the border and about certain issues that you say, well, the border is a small issue, transgender, that's a small issue. But sometimes those small issues, once you add them up, they can sometimes, I say sometimes, override a bad economy. I say sometimes. And then if it's true, if it's true that white America will lose its majority by 2055, if that is true, then white America, a percentage of white America may start to really act out. A percentage. I don't know how high that percentage is. I don't know if white people will not be the majority by 2055. I don't know, because
well, let me ask you this: what's more scary? The possibility that a certain group of people are disgruntled because of the existence of more people that don't look like them, or the possibility that you can strip people of their freedoms and their rights that don't deserve to have them stripped to cater to those people that you're afraid that they might be upset?
You know what? If you have to go back to the foundation of the country, you already have your answer.
But
I don't understand what you mean.
What I mean is, if you create your country stating that you believe in freedom, but you don't allow women to vote, you enslave Africans, you tell the Mexicans they're not strong enough to hold the Southwest, you're going to take it from them, and then you take the land from the Indians because they don't have land titles, and then you put them on reservations, and you break treaties and move them out to farther reservations areas that you don't think you'll go to. So that's the foundation of this country. So
but that's the whole point that I was trying to make earlier. We don't have to go back to the foundation, just like because things have changed. People fight differently, very much so. Gerrymandering, the Democrats are fighting differently, and with that fight, it becomes it upsets the balance of what the Republicans have been able to actually predict, and now they're moving into unpredictable space. And they don't know how to maneuver. They don't know how to shoot, move, and communicate in this fashion because it's something totally different. What do you mean you're acting like me? What do you mean you're just as disrespectful as I am? What do you mean you're going to shut the government down for a record
that I told you they were going to do it. They weren't going to budge. I told you that.
Again,
hold on. But on the same hand,
hold on. Give me a second, because just because something started out and had a principle idea or ideology of a thing doesn't mean that it has to continue in that stance. And the only way that it can change is, unfortunately, sometimes some things have to be fought in the very same manner, right? I'm for violence. I am not nonviolent, and I'd be a liar if I said that I am nonviolent. I appreciate, respect, and love the message that Dr. Martin Luther King was trying to put out, but you can't get busting your goddamn head every motherfucking day and expect for shit to change when you're not fighting back. So if you throw a rock at me, I'm gonna throw a boulder at your ass. So if you're swinging at me, I'm swinging back at you.
So I'm getting a little scared here. So what I hear you saying, what I hear all of us saying as a whole, that we're on a podcast that's going live stream, and we don't know who's watching and who's not. And we believe in the American way, and we believe in doing things legally and in nonviolence, using a nonviolent manner. So that's what I'm hearing all of us say together as a group collectively.
You are.
He's saying it figuratively. He's not saying it literally.
Absolutely not, because America has never been nonviolent.
So I miss Dr. King, I miss Dr. King, I miss Malcolm X, I miss Medgar Evers, and all those other historical Black men and women who lost their lives, who were doing things non-violently, and they still got taken up out of here.
Exactly.
And do you believe in their cause?
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So if you believe in their cause, then why is it okay to basically destroy the legacy that they fought for and the legislation that they died for in order to appease, once again, the white people who may be disgruntled down the line?
Keith, first of all, you're making an assumption that I'm trying to appease. I'm not trying to appease anybody. So you don't know me well enough. See, I know my Blackness. See, I'm just
going off of what you're saying to me.
No. I got ran off my presidency because of my integrity, because I was going to treat everyone with equal love and respect. So you got the wrong Black person. See, there's some Black folks who talk like me, who may sound like me, and they are quote, "You're a Black Republican." I am not a Black Republican, nor am I a Black Democrat. I used to be part of the Democratic Party. I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I've gone through, what I've experienced in my American experience. Your experience in America may be a little different than mine, and I'm going to respect that. That's why I asked you to come on. That's why anybody who puts on some really sharp comments, I'm like, bring them on. Bring them on. And let's engage into a conversation. Because a lot of people are loving what you're saying. But what I'm doing is I'm looking at the whole picture, not just from my Black experience, but I'm looking at from a white person's view as well. And I'm saying, how can we, along with Latinos and Asians and everyone else in this great melting pot, long term, how can we be successful? At some point, we have to treat everyone with love and respect, regardless of their color or their origin or how they got here. How can we do that when our foundation is so flawed?
Well, I can tell you, I can answer that. And to a degree, I can answer that, which is that our foundation was exactly that. It was a foundation. And when our Constitution was written, the people that that wrote it knew that it was flawed. And so what they did was they left it open to amendments, which is what we have today. We have an entire list of amendments that Congress over the years was able to ratify, and it became part of the Constitution, and it became part of our code of how we operate this country and how we treat the people in it and the liberties and freedoms that they have. And obviously, over time, politics has become quite a game of telephone, because different parties have determined that it means different things to them, which isn't necessarily a bad thing in some cases. However, I'm a believer in, believe what you believe, but don't let that get to the point where it oppresses anyone. It's the same thing with religion. Everybody has the right to believe what they want to believe, but the second you try to force religion on people, perfect example, look at the Spanish Inquisition. That was probably the greatest example of how bad it can get when you try to force your belief system on other people, and you can't have that in a free society. And so I guess my question to you is, since you're not Democrat and you're not Republican, what does your ideal scenario look like? What does it look like to you in terms of legislation, in terms of laws, in terms of,
Let me make this simpler for you.
So before you answer that, because that's a good question. Rich, you take it. Deuce and Oscar, I want y'all to follow on with that also.
Okay. And I'll be real brief. You cannot do anything in this country, in my personal opinion, until you get rid of the central bank called the Federal Reserve System. And I'll stop there. Deuce,
why is that? I'm just curious.
Thank you. Yes.
You force poverty. You force poverty with generations. Unless you're part of the elite.
I'm keeping my words short. Go ahead.
You want people. Trump has put people who hate. If I'm a billionaire and I hate said agency, this administration will put me over said agency to destroy it for my personal benefit. I'm a billionaire. I know how to make money. I want to make money for me, not for you.
That's right.
You want to put the control of our currency, our fiat money, in the hands of what, Congress? The president? Who exactly will control it?
I've done a lot of talking this evening. He asked me, hold on, because I can talk. He asked me a very tough question. And I said, get rid of the Federal Reserve, the central bank. And when we elect our leaders, they'll decide how much money that's printed out of thin air, unless they want to weigh it against gold, which is what they should do. Then they can decide how much money they put into our social programs, because I believe in socialized healthcare. And if they want to put equal money into our social programs like they put into the military, that'd be just great with me.
Can I say something? Did you see how the Senate quizzed the CEO of TikTok?
Jeez.
Well,
you want those people?
Hold on,
because you don't have to be a intellectual specialist.
I have tried to keep
Congress. However,
right, but you have
the governors.
I have tried to keep my words short and tight on this particular question that he asked me, because
that was your
I don't believe in voting. I don't believe in a two-party system.
I agree with that, by the way.
Same,
100%. I totally agree with that. Because it means it's either you're with us or you're with them, and that creates more division than anything. So I do agree with that.
Yeah,
absolutely. I've been saying that as recently as today.
So,
yeah,
right. So when you were asking me those tough questions from the very beginning, when I saw Beverly Franklin come on and say, "Well, who is this Richard?" See, this is what they were saying about me last year when I was coming on Mr. Glass's show. Like, who is this cat? We don't know if he's really with us or not, because he doesn't talk and say some of the things that we say, but then some of these other things regarding the Black community, he goes off on a tangent, because I am independent of political parties. But I had to go through something in my own public life as the president of Local 1000 when they ran me out with a corrupt court system through the influence of Gavin Newsom. I had to go through something. So now when I talk, I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what it is on what.
Are you from California, by the way?
I am from Missouri. I am from the South, and I've known Mr. Glass for I guess 2-3 years.
Yeah, Deuce, did you answer that question?
No,
you know, I totally understand where you're coming from on certain things. Like, for example, the two-party system. That is one of my biggest pet peeves with the way. One of my biggest issues with the way that this country has turned out. We did not have a two-party system when it started. The predominant parties were the Democratic, Republicans, and the Federalists, which George Washington was a Federalist. But it was never designed for two parties. And then the Federalists kind of merged with another party, and then it became Democrats and Republicans over time. But you know, in regard to the central banking system, there's a reason why it's important. And I didn't understand this really until a few years ago, because I was just like you. I'd watch Zeitgeist and you know, and all that stuff, which it is very conspiracy theory based. And so, but here's the thing. We had to go to the central banking system and go off of the gold and silver standard. And I always thought that was a terrible thing until I realized this. Your economy can never grow beyond the value of your assets if you're on a standard based on your resources. So it's kind of like, if you want to buy a house, if you don't have the cash to buy that house at that time, you have to take a mortgage. And so if your economy personally is only the assets that you have, you can no longer afford that. So what our dollar is backed by, when people say our dollar isn't backed by anything, it actually is. It's backed by our credit. And it's because of our credit that allowed our economy to expand to the point that it has.
So Keith,
and so
wait, time out.
On the backs of American people.
I tell you what, Oscar, see,
it'll be a long night if we get into the back.
One last thing, when he was asking me about things I would do, can me and Mr. Keith Ross, and thank you, Oscar, for your support. Can me and Mr. Keith Ross agree on term limits for the House and the Senate at the federal level?
Absolutely. Totally agree with that.
I'm good.
Absolutely.
I'm good.
Yeah. I'm with you on that.
I'm good.
I have a few points kind of to see if I can stay concise here. But the first thing was like exploring the idea of like our modern system. The one thing that I do dislike about our modern system is our constant involvement. Here's an example: constant involvement of the citizenry to the issues that happen in states that are not theirs. Using social media, using the mass media, what happens in Texas, as a Californian, what happens in Texas, I have no damn care for. Because I am not a constituent of that state, nor the representatives of that state. So when it comes to civil rights and when it comes to things like that, I do think it has to be a federalized system where it has to be a standardization across the board. However, so far, we were talking about the oppression, right? There's a lot of oppression happening because, say, a Texan wants to dictate what California does, or what California does wants to dictate what Texas does. It should not be that way. California
Can I ask you for certain examples that you're referring to?
Sure. So right now, the whole thing with everybody going up in arms about getting a tizzy about what's going to happen in New York City, right? New York City, the communists, the socialists, the blah, blah, blah. I don't care. I'm not a New Yorker. If the New York people want to vote a socialist, a communist, whatever the heck it is, and I know they're probably just using those words just to attack his character and attack his policies.
Oh no, he's said many times
he's a democratic socialist. Very different than a communist. Very different than a socialist from Latin America.
Yeah.
Right. And we have to be able to distinguish those things logically, educationally. And go, hey, communism is communism. Socialism that happens in Latin America is socialism in Latin America. I'm not myself a democratic socialist or anything like that, but I'm not going to worry about what happens in New York City. I am not living in New York City, right? Or New York State. And I think we spend so much time on mass media, social media, trying to force states and subjugate states to vote certain ways or do certain things by forcing our will on them, right?
Well, I to a point I can understand that. However, one thing that I feel like society has lost in this country is the sense of selflessness that we used to have, and the sense of loyalty to our country and the values that it represents. And I know to some people it means different things. However, you have someone like Mamdani, and by the way, I vote generally blue no matter what, because of what the Republican Party has turned into, especially. There's really no safe Republican that I've found to vote for. However, when it comes to Mamdani, Mamdani is a hate monger against the Jewish people. I am not a New Yorker, but I am Jewish, and I live in Florida. And New York has the largest Jewish population of any place in the world other than Israel. And so he's already spoken about how he's going to, how he's going to handle things. And his mentor, I forgot her first name, her last name Sarsauer. She is a proud anti-Semite. She poses smiling in front of swastikas. They both are aligned with representatives for terrorist groups. He's got his arm around one of the people who planned the 1993 World Trade Center bombing. In one picture that I saw as recently as today. And I forgot the name of the imam that he's also extremely close with, but this guy is extremely anti-America. He's one of these death to America types. And these are the people who mentored him. So when you say I'm not a New Yorker, I only care about what's going on in my state, that's also the problem with society today, is that we don't care enough about other people, and they may not be, necessarily connected to us, but we're all connected. We're all Americans and we're all human beings. And at a certain point, I think it's important that, when there's a threat to anyone anywhere, everyone should rally together, because if we're that divided over domestic issues, imagine what happens when a foreign entity ends up going to war with us.
Oscar, wait a minute, Oscar. Let me take this.
Sure.
See, I thought, Mr. Keith Ross, I thought you were Jewish. But I didn't want to say it initially because until I know for sure, I don't say anything. So when it comes to that Federal Reserve System, you know about all the conspiracy. I don't believe that's a conspiracy. I think that's the absolute truth about the Rothschilds. But I'm not going to take one thing from the Jewish community, the Rothschilds, and smear the whole Jewish community. I'm not going to do that. But these anti-Semitic people, or people who are anti-Semitic, they will. Now, I think what Oscar is saying was something more global than what he's just saying about state to state. I think he's referring to when America goes down into Latin America through the use of the CIA and just runs roughshod and tries to take over countries and put in the leaders that they want to put in, so they'll be puppets to our leaders here in America. I think that was Oscar's larger picture. And to be honest, I don't say this very often. I think Oscar, I think you're right, Keith. I think you're both right.
Yeah, it is both on the macrocosm and microcosm. It's the idea that we almost muddy the water by being so vocal about politics that happens in other states, counties, cities that don't pertain to us. You know, and unfortunately, when that happens, I think. Let me tell you how I think the Republican Party today has become the Republican Party today. It has happened because the Democrats have long forgotten the Bible Belt states, have long forgotten these people that had these jobs that technology overran, that had no education, no opportunity, no mobility upwards, no way to make their family put food on the table in a more newer, meaningful way, given new skills and new possibilities. And of course they're going to get angry. And of course they're going to find their strong man. And of course they're going to try to fight back. And of course they're going to try to find somebody that gives them a voice. Here in California.
If that's the case, then why is it that I'm sorry, I just wanted to ask you, if that's the case, then why is it that every single donor state in this country is a blue state and 0 of them are red states?
I don't know.
Well, that's not forgetting about them. That is directly funding them.
Well,
and it's all coming from blue states. Blue states have the highest education. They have the highest wealth.
Wait on, Mr. Ross. Hold on.
And they also give the most.
Hold on, Mr. Ross. Let's go back to our foundation of the Civil War. The South never recovered from that. And those blue states, they grew. And a lot of black folks from the South went to those blue states and went to those cities, and those cities grew. And with the big 3 auto car factories. So there's a lot of reasons why the blue states really took off. And when Oscar said about the jobs leaving in the 90s that came under a Democratic president, that damn thing called NAFTA that Clinton should have never signed, along with the 3 strikes and out, that situation that put a lot of black and brown into the prison system that he later regretted. See, this country never recovered from that. But really, when white people lost their jobs in the middle class and the working poor white, and they lost hope, and then when they said those jobs went to third world countries, we replaced it with high-tech jobs, that was an absolute lie. And it's going to be no different now. As a labor leader, I'm telling you this. Anybody who signs union contracts that don't guarantee those jobs for the length of that contract, who's not fighting to keep jobs here in America, this AI will take a certain percentage of American jobs away to where you will have to have a socialist society and send out checks every month if you can't provide people jobs that they want to work. I stop there.
So why do you think we're being so tough on immigration? The people that take the low-paying jobs, you're going to have to place people somewhere, so you got to deport them all. That's exactly what I think is happening. It's like you get rid of a lot of people that take those lower barrier jobs because you need to fill it, because eventually there's going to be a lot of people with no jobs because AI is already doing it, right? So you got to deport a lot of people that take those lower-paying jobs because you got to place your American people somewhere. And let's be frank, a lot of American people, when the fire is put to their asses, they're going to be forced into those jobs. They're going to be forced back into factory work. They're going to be forced back into things. It's just the whole thing. We're talking about the banking system. You know, there was a very important quote that Jefferson said that you have to be very wary, and I'm paraphrasing, you have to be very wary of the banking system because the banking system and the corporations that build themselves around them will steal the property that your forefathers had conquered.
And
in a way.
Mr. Ross, a person can be against the Rothschilds and still support Israel. Because I catch hell from my Democratic friends about supporting Israel, even though a lot of people say that Israel, when created on, I think, May 14th, 1948, that country should never been created, and that those are not the original Jews. But when I still defend Israel, I catch hell from the Democrats who are supporting Palestine. So
yeah, so I agree with you on that. And this is something that I've been talking about once again for years with other people. And that is that, you know, when people talk about, you know, the Jews this and the Zionists that, first of all, Zionist now, the way people are using it, it's just it's basically like you know, trying not to say I hate the Jews. It's like, you know, it's like somebody trying to say I hate
woke
ghetto
policies.
people, I don't know, and trying not to say I hate black people.
I hate wokeness. I hate wokeness.
Yeah, I hate wokeness. So it's like saying I hate Democrats. However,
Mr. Ross, didn't Mr. Herzog back in 1890, the founder of quote Zionism, Mr. Herzog, didn't he refer to himself as being a Zionist? Because he wanted to recreate.
Absolutely, but the definition of Zionist has been corrupted by the people who want to hate Jews by using it. So a Zionist, by definition, is simply somebody who believes that Israel has the right to exist and the people there have the right to self-determination. That is end of definition. And so when people say the Zionists, they're really just saying the Jews, and it's what's happened, you know, over centuries and centuries and centuries. And as far as, you know, people's arguments that Ashkenazi Jews that you know migrated back to Israel from Europe are not real Jews. Well, you know, I get the arguments, because the truth is that the people who originally were in that land were not white, or even white passing in a lot of cases. Jesus Christ did not look like Jared Leto. But you know, the thing is, when the Romans came in and basically conquered Israel and expelled the Jews from Jerusalem, there were 12 tribes.
Those black Hebrews, continue. I'm listening.
Correct. Black and brown.
Before you go, I'll let you finish this up, but I don't want to transition to
religion. Yeah. So yeah, but basically I'll keep it really short. Those tribes, some of them settled in what ended up becoming Europe. And because of the thousands of years that since then, that where basically the melanin in those people's skin adjusted to the climate, that's why a lot of the Ashkenazi Jews are white passing. However,
just wait, you're separating those Ashkenazi Jews who said that melanated that came from out of Israel. You're separating that from the Khazars, those Jews who start practicing Judaism and being recognized as being an Ashkenazi Jew. You're making a separation. So you're saying that there's a possibility the Khazar Jews under that king that started practicing Judaism and being recognized as Jews, that's a separate Jew from the Jews who came out of Israel, who got ran out from Rome and came to Europe and lost some of their pigmentation.
In all honesty, I'm not familiar with that enough to comment on it, but yeah. So okay, but I did want to ask you a question, which was that you know, you said
before you ask that,
sure.
Did you weigh in? And then we gotta make sure Lynn is able to weigh in. Lynn, you had a question from a viewer from a different week that I need to find and read to you or get it to you. But Deuce, I wanted to make sure we punted that question over to Deuce so he could weigh in also.
What was the question again? I was trying to keep up with.
We also.
So my question was this, right? So you said that the South never recovered, right? Well,
my opinion.
Yeah. So my question, and this is to take it back to the initial discussion that we were having, is the South never recovered, and that was an issue for the South. Do you feel that Black people have ever recovered from slavery as a society?
Oh, you roped me into that one. Oh, you roped me that time.
Yeah.
You hit me on my chin.
We pun that. we're punting that to Deuce. That's the flinger punt. That's the note. We're punting that one.
Recover from slavery.
That's a good one.
It's like it's layered, right? Because there are so many other policies and things that happen post-slavery to kind of put Black people back into the box, right? Redlining. You had the Jim Crow laws. You had other things that are escaping my mind right now.
Yep.
Voting, right? So many other things.
You had literacy tests during voting, which is what the Voting Rights Act of 1965 put an end to. You had separate establishments that only Black people could go into. You had segregation. You had
64.
a laundry list.
You had the welfare program that helped to break up the Black family, because the only way to get on it is if you're a single parent, more likely a single mom, right? So it's so many things. So slavery was massive, huge. Done so many things that we can't even begin to imagine. I would say that plus other programs it's like swimming upstream with the anchor.
Exactly. And that's exactly why this legislation is so important to keep in place, because there has to be something to level the playing field. It's not preferential treatment. It's a guarantee for, at bare minimum, equal treatment. And as we know, historically in this country, Black people have been oppressed since the beginning of it. Black people were in large part the backbone that this country was built on, and they didn't even have something as simple as the ability to be considered an entire person until long after our modern civilization was created. And so it's extremely important.
By the Constitution, was it the 14th that overcame the 3/5 slave population? So 3/5 of a slave. Then a person, a Black person, be recognized as being one.
I was about to push that to Lynn. Lynn and took off.
I'm sorry. And I just read about that. Sometimes I read and I reread over and over until I can get.
Yeah.
So if I had known we were talking about certain things, I would have read back.
Yeah.
Harder. So until he gets back, let me ask you all. This is a little bit of a shift in focus, but it's still maintaining the movement of the Constitution and votes. For what happened last night, through multiple different areas. Never mind, he's back. He'll get to answer this first. With the things that happened last night, with the votes that were cast in multiple different areas of the country, is that a precursor to what we're heading into for the midterms?
Absolutely. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to butt in.
Lynn, you got me? I don't know if he froze up. No.
He's moving.
Yeah, he's moving. Give me a second.
I don't know if we heard you.
Let me see if I can take him off mute.
He's doing a Jedi mind trick right now.
Yeah.
He's not talking though.
Are you able to take yourself off mute? Okay. All right. Well, until he's able to Lynn, can you hear me?
I guess put a hand up if you can hear us.
Put a hand up, yeah.
For real.
Oh no, right. I don't think he can hear us.
I don't think he can. He would have said something.
I'm with Keith on that one, man. I think
100%.
It was a landslide, man. The races weren't even close. I mean, what is? I'm getting it wrong. I know Keith gave me some new information. I got to research Mamdani. That's New York, right?
Mamdani.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mamdani.
Yeah.
There's no way a man like Mamdani would have won New York if Project 2025 wasn't in effect right now. The same way, I don't think a person like Trump would be president if Obama was never president, right? So these things, there's emotion to all of this, right? This is a direct response to how people are feeling right now, an early indication of how people feel about this administration's actions and lack of results. So I think this will, unless they do a major pivot, and people's memories get shorter than what they are. So it's a direct indication to the midterms. Anything can happen. This is a direct indication of how the midterms will be.
Yeah,
Yep.
I was going to say the same thing. I feel like it's a clear sign as to a pushback to many of the agendas of Approach to 2025 and the Republican Party.
So,
And the other thing is that you can't continue running a platform on scare tactics. You can't continue running it on
And
the
hate.
Dems, the Dems, the Dems, the Dems. The Dems are the
Yeah.
evil ones, the communists, the socialists, the this, blah 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 blah. And you can't keep running a good campaign on focusing on a small niche of the American people. You need the people on the fence. You need the
I
people
don't know,
that can go
Oscar.
either way.
I will push back on that a little bit because that's how Hitler won. And Hitler won, and the political system in Germany was similar to America's system. And that's how Hitler won. Blame the Jews for everything.
Yep.
And he was able to. The only thing that defeated him was outside forces, not German people themselves. They had a part, but the ultimate defeat was outside forces.
But a big part of it was the German economy too. So a lot of the people were looking for an answer or somebody to give
And a
them
scapegoat.
hope, a scapegoat. Yeah, but you needed both hope and a scapegoat, right? So what's happening right now is that you have, Trump's got his head so far up his ass that he keeps saying that everything is perfect, everything is nice. But we're starting to see those numbers, unemployment numbers. We're starting to see real numbers and tangible numbers that do not coincide with how they are, how the press secretary is saying it, how Trump is saying it. So then the reality is so far from what is constantly being repeated over and over and over by this administration. So people are going like, hey, something's not right here. Something, it's very different when Hitler had the German people completely jobless, completely, needing that scapegoat and that guy there as a strongman to lead them into what history led them to.
But Germany is only a certain size. America's a lot different than that. But here's my 2 points. When things get tough, he'll send out stimulus checks. Question is, how because if those tariffs don't work, and by the end of the year, he should have some type of good idea. By next summer, if he feels he'll lose either the House or the Senate, if he loses the House, he'll be impeached within 90 days of the Democrats being elected and sworn in.
I think Democrats know well enough that they could impeach him, but if they don't, if there's no control of the Senate, there's not going to be eviction. It's going to be the last 2 times. So I don't think that happens necessarily.
Right. But wait a minute. I put up money that the Democrats would not break on this. They would go past November. I put up money on this. They wouldn't take the bet. And I'm telling you, if the Democrats take that House back,
not a betting man.
Okay, that's perfect. We can do it for charity. I'll put up $100 for charity. If the Democrats take that House back, he'll be impeached by that House within 90 days. We could care less what the Senate does. As long as listen, when they put that 34-time felony conviction on him, even if he gets it overturned, and he will get it overturned, well, people always say a 34-time felon got elected. The Democrats, if they have 10% of the energy of Madani and just 1% of AOC, he'll be impeached next year. That's a guarantee. So he'll
if the Democrats don't control the Senate, I don't believe that they're going to go through the process of impeaching him, knowing that it's going to die before it gets there.
It's political theater. Of course they will. Exactly. They're going to do it to send a message to their base. They're going to do it, even if they know it's not going to win. That's what politicians do. They know strategically that they're going to propose bills or they're going to propose things that they know are going to get shot down, but they can go back to their constituency and say, I fought for you, I did what I needed to do, and you will vote for me again because I fought for you, but the enemy, the other people were the ones that voted it down.
And that's
it's exactly what politics is.
Right, but that's why I said, if he feels he's going to lose that House or even the Senate, but if he knows he's going to lose the House next summer, he's sending out stimulus checks. My question is, will he be cheap? $500 is not enough. $2,500, you got a chance to get rid. You got a chance to help Republicans.
The only way the stimulus checks will work if Medicaid is safe. I don't think $2,000 is going to mean a grain of anything if the Dems lose this fight and they're able to take Medicaid.
Check this out. This we're on the 36th day, I think. The 36th day
Yeah, I think it's a record already. Yeah.
of the government being shut down. And I told you, I said the Democrats can't budge on this enhanced subsidies. When oh God, I think you said it earlier, Keith, that or somebody said that the Republicans are all on the same side. They all have the same talking points. When the constituents of Marjorie Taylor Greene got her ass so bad that she had to go against Trump and she had to go on Bill Maher and back it up, that's when you know that those enhanced subsidies for medical care is critical for Republicans and Democrats. That the Affordable Care Act, the Obamacare, that the Republicans want to destroy, you can't. Because once a person gets a sniff of some money to help them, you're not leaving.
Man, where did Keith go? I was about there. You are.
There we go.
Funny thing about Marjorie Taylor Greene, they're all saying that she's starting to sound like a Democrat.
Yeah, she's turning.
Constituents in her district,
I see.
Constituents in her district, obviously, when they call her, she answers the phone.
Lynn,
she's still telling everybody how much she loves the president.
He's with us. All right.
That don't sound like a Democrat
He was
to me.
on Bill Maher last Friday. Oh God, the Friday before last, I believe.
I'm sorry.
Last Friday night, and she did not get booed by that crowd who are pro-Democrat big time.
But she also said how much she loves President Trump.
She has to say that.
And was deflecting blame from him. She was blaming her colleagues
Okay,
and leaving him blameless.
Okay, no, and listen, I'm not gonna argue with you tonight on this point because
Brother Glass, may I make a quick point about what Oscar said something about like 10 minutes ago?
Damn, yeah, by all means.
So I went to a security conference. By the way, hi guys, I'm Lee. I went to a security conference about a week and a half ago, and they were talking about the influence of AI. And they said for every job that gets posted, whether it be Indeed or LinkedIn or whatever, there are 7,000 people a day who apply for that single job. Mm-hmm. And then no longer is there the individual that sifts through those jobs and then sends it up to their manager and says, hey, you know what? It's going to be like these 25 qualified people. And then you sort it out. It looks for keywords based upon their whatever algorithm, and then they send them those 20 resumes. Out of those 20 resumes, 2 are chosen, and then they go up to, the hiring managers, and then they just literally get chosen, one or the other, or maybe you have a third for just a backup. And this is every day, and this is why the new market is. We're going to lose people because it's no longer they're no longer needed to like look through those jobs, and no longer. And I just when Oscar made the comment about AI, about the job market, it reminded me of that actual security professionals literally comment about that ideology.
Lee. When I've been on this podcast for almost over a year, I said there's certain issues that Democrats are going to win. When it comes to that medical, however you want to call it, medical needs, whether it's Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, this is a winning issue. And this is where the Republicans are going to have a hard time because the white Republicans who are in the middle class, the white working poor Republicans, who have now tasted Obamacare, who are getting those enhanced subsidies, they need it. And now the ones in Marjorie Taylor Greene's district, like I said, they got at her so strongly that she had to go and tell the president, we got to do something about these enhanced premium subsidies. We have to keep them going. She had to go on Bill Maher and talk so cool and so calmly that the crowd supported what she was saying because she sounded like a Democrat. No, she sounded like somebody that's trying to get reelected next November, and she knows her ass is on the line. But let's give Miss Blonde Hair, whatever, however Jasmine.
Bad built, beach body, whatever.
I mean, you just saw her on The View, right?
We just heard
this week.
I didn't know that.
I got to check that one.
she's on The View as a panelist right now.
So she is. She's so worried about getting reelected next November. Even though she has to still kiss up to Donald Trump, she's going head on at the House Speaker Mike Johnson. She don't care what he's talking about. She's going right at him. And he probably told her, keep your mouth shut, know your place. And she probably said, well, you know what? I'm from the South. I don't know my place. And now she's on all these liberal shows.
I'm gonna say this. We still don't endorse MTG. At the end.
I would agree with that, actually. But I will be remiss if I didn't say congratulations to Oscar Master-elect, by the way. Congratulations.
Yeah, absolutely. I was going to bring that up later.
Thanks.
Lead me to it. So pushing it back over then, because I didn't get a chance to really ask you. You didn't get a chance to hear me ask the questions about the votes from last night being an indicator of what's to come in the future. What are your thoughts on that, Lynn? And then we'll get that to Brooks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I wasn't surprised with any of the four situations at all. I mean, I'm from Philly, so I had a good idea that Jersey is tired of the same old. Yeah. And you had a career politician versus someone who was changing. You know what? It made me think about, because you had a woman winning in Jersey,
Virginia.
Virginia was no choice because it was two women. But I wasn't surprised that the Democrat won. I used to live in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I was born in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Jay Glass, isn't Kentucky a Commonwealth?
It is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
But also Detroit had their first female leader elected for the first time in over 300 years of their existence. So, you know what it feels like? It feels like the country is saying, you know what? We could have let a woman have that top spot.
Absolutely.
Right now, I don't feel good about the dude that's in the top spot. So I saw 3 women and a Muslim.
Yeah.
And New York City had the most people vote in
since 1989. It was the first time they had 2 million voters turn out.
Over 2 million people came out to vote, and the majority of them went for a guy who has told you, I'm born in Africa, so we ain't got to do no birther stuff, right? I'm a Muslim, and I have socialist ideals.
Yeah.
And because I want free bus service and free childcare for everybody in New York City. And we want to figure out a way to make it happen. And we'll see. Because he still has a city council. You know, he still got checks and balances. He just can't roll up and, you know, do whatever. But I was not surprised at all with all of them winning. Not one bit. Not with Jersey, not with Virginia, and certainly not with Detroit.
Yeah, my issue with Mamdani is that he makes a lot of promises, but what he's doing, I believe, is telling people things that sound good to them, but they're things that he can't really do. And the ironic thing is that he can't do these things as mayor, but he could do those things as the comptroller for New York, and he didn't. And so that's where, you know, this is we'll see what happens, but I do think that New York is in trouble. He doesn't have experience. I mean, I absolutely don't like either of the candidates. I don't think Cuomo was a great option, and I definitely don't think that that Mamdani is a great option. But
what about Sliwa?
You know, Sliwa, absolutely not. I would never vote red for anything in this current environment, ever. Yeah, and you know, I don't think there was a good candidate option. If I had to choose, simply because the devil you know is better than the devil you don't, I would have chosen Cuomo.
So,
but
and that's a very interesting point that you bring up, Keith, because a lot of people that I heard talking about the past election, with I really don't talk about them often. They used the same argument as to why they were oppositional to VP Harris. They use a very similar argument. And,
the devil you know?
Yeah, the devil you know. They use a very similar argument. Now,
got the devil we knew.
Yeah,
we got the devil we knew.
Yeah, brother.
The thing is this: it was misused.
Give me a second, man, in the high council. I see you. I'm in the voice. All right, brother Brooks. Same question. Same question. Keep what's going on. I'm gonna have to send them. The same question to you.
Yeah,
the votes from last night. Do you see this being a trend coming to the midterms?
Yeah, I believe so. It's always this way in the midterms. There's that pendulum that swung very far to the right during the elections. There's always going to come back to like somewhat center during a midterm elections because people are like, now they've gotten almost 2 years of President Trump. And they're like, oh, okay. Yes, I voted for them because, and I tell my Democratic friends, because I'm an independent conservative, I'm like, this is your fault, guys. You put him in office because for years you kept saying Joe Biden was sound and he's normal and he's safe and he's sane. And then all of a sudden he gets on stage and bombs, like, this is what you guys did, like, so it's always going to come back to like, okay, finally the pendulum's going to come back more toward like the left at this point, for sure. Like, so it's reflected in last night. It'll be reflected in the midterm elections. Do I think they'll win the House or the Senate? The Democrats, it'll be close, but there's a good chance that the Democrats will win one. But this is literally, I think it'll be reflected in the same thing.
Okay.
This budget crisis right now, with the government being shut down, if the Republicans come and they have to concede to continue those enhanced subsidies, they've lost in 26 in the midterm. It will be a wipeout.
Here's something I like to say about the government shutdown. This is all like a test, man, because the MAGA party, the MAGA administration, this is what they want to do. We are currently operating in the vision of the government that they have in mind, right? They want to do away with any type of Medicare subsidies. Anybody getting paid in that? No. They want to reduce / federal employees. Are federal civilian employees getting paid? Nah. Military? Iffy, maybe. We don't know. And then they deem people essential. So they're picking and choosing who they want. One of the heads said they want their people to fire people with almost like with prejudice, right? They want to fire them now. If you think they got to go, kick them out. So they're picking and choosing the people they want to work in the federal government, slashing the government workforce, slashing any type of subsidies to help out working class citizens. This is the vision of the government that they want. And I think also on their side, they want to see how long they can take this test out.
And I think that's a bit extreme in your statement, sir. I think that's very one-sided. They don't want, really the crux of the Republican Party right now is about illegal immigrants, because that's what the voting bloc of that party is. They don't want any illegal immigrant to have anything. Not like if you're just here like as a birther, or you're here like for any sort of reason, they don't want you to have health care or any dollar or cent to go to them. That is their issue. I'll ask you
this then. With them reducing or wanting to reduce Medicare subsidies, I don't recall seeing a specific population they wanted to reduce it for. It was across the board.
Well, I think, and we have to remember, guys, that the important thing here is that it's a cop out. There are very, very few programs that illegals can actually take advantage of. Most of them they can't. The only thing that is debatable here, and we've said it time and time again in previous podcasts, is the emergency segment of it.
That's correct.
If a person that is illegal goes to a hospital, the doctors have a Hippocratic oath. They're not going to let them die. They're not just going to say like, "Oh, you're illegal. Just go ahead and die there," right? They will render services, and when they render services, there are federal programs that help with that fee because the hospital has to recoup its money as well, right? But then everything else is left to the state, the county, and the city. The municipalities can decide to collect taxes on on their constituency, on the people that live and reside in their cities or counties, to run hospital systems that.
Well, also the thing is,
because
hospitals
illegals pay
hospitals do have a hospitals have a
they
contingency
get
though.
rendered services in municipal hospitals. So all this stuff is just it's smoke and mirrors. It really is, and that's just talking points in order for the political game and circus of sideshow freaks to continue going on. In
Oscar is absolutely correct. This is about like the Republican Party right now doesn't even want them to have those those states or counties or individuals to have like emergency funds recuperated to them for illegals. That is the point. That is the point. So that way it's all cut up.
It's a single point. So take away the rights and the stuff from all Americans just because of the 3% of the population.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing.
Literally the
Guys,
point.
can you hear me?
So sacrificial Americans.
Oscar,
I
remember somebody coming on the show telling y'all this a long time ago that they was going to shut that border down, and if you're here illegally or undocumented, however you want to define it, that the Republican Party is not giving you a dime. But the Republican Party is in a quagmire because half the Republican Party wants all the people who are undocumented to leave the country, but the other half who owns those big companies, they don't want you to leave.
So I don't want to jump too far into that because I don't want to skip over the man in the high castle. Asking the same question about Tuesday's election results. Do you see that as something that is going to be trending forward in the future to November's midterms? The man in the high castle. That was for you.
That was for who?
That was
correct.
For you. Yeah, the man in the high castle.
Hello, thank you, gentlemen.
Welcome back.
There's literally someone named the man in the high castle.
Yeah.
I was like, who's that supposed to be?
Yeah, I was kind of lost too. I was looking like, who is that?
I was like, is he talking about Lynn? Because he's like up top. That's hilarious.
Well, the man in high castles everywhere.
Indeed.
But to answer to your question, is this from November this year to November next year?
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether he can hear us or we just can't hear him.
I can. Can you hear us, Keith?
Oh no, not me. I meant him. Now I actually feel like you can hear what I'm saying. I was having technical difficulties like crazy. Yeah.
But he's talking.
Oh, I'm not hearing anything.
November this year to November next year?
Yes, is last night's results a trend for what's coming in the future?
No. It was that was planned.
Explain
last
that.
night. Well, from what I understand is that man dummy, he was able to promote. He was able to promote himself from months ago, and people were saying he was going to win. Cuomo had never had a chance.
Well, weren't him and Cuomo out on the campaign trail during the same time? Didn't they even actually have a debate with each other?
Yes,
they did.
So I might be missing, and I don't know where.
No, they actually did. Brother Glass, and it was actually a good debate. I watched it, and seeing the debate. If you guys haven't seen it, go back and watch it. It was a good debate for ideas for them both, right, and how they portray themselves and their ideology. like Mondani is like he was very clear in his vision. Like you might disagree with his vision, but I would almost call him Trump-esque, Trump-light, right? In regards to he said this is what he's going to do. Now, I don't believe he can actually do what he says he wanted to do. That's the big difference between him and Trump.
Whoa,
right?
You there, my brother?
Right.
Hold on. Time out. What is it? President Trump said he would do that he's not.
We're talking about immigration. That's what Trump specifically ran on. Mondami Mondami's like I don't want to call it the idealist, like in regards to but it's not probably the right word. But Mondami is literally like, hey, I want you to have free this and free that. He's not going to be able to do that. He's just not. It's not going to get done. It sounds freaking cool, but it's just not going to happen. And that's the difference.
Man in the high castle, you agree, disagree? Where you at on that? Then I'll push that over.
He's nothing like President Trump. President Trump is the greatest president that we've ever had in the United States of America.
Anything he's saying. He's the only one. It's like he's on mute.
Yeah,
yeah, do you hear me? Who hears
you might have to recap that
I
for me because I can't hear anything from him.
Yeah, that's on your end. Let me continue though.
Yeah.
President Trump is the greatest president ever in the United States of America thus far.
I'm not going.
I got a question. What policy of his do you like?
I'm also going to say this. In addition, that Mandani, he is definitely papered up. He has a lot of money funded to him, and I believe that's Saudi Arabia. If you look at the current situation, His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh, he was all over the United States, co-opting a lot of the professional athletes in their leagues, such as the NBA, boxing. I'm saying this is all tied into a lot of things.
Give me a second. I'm not here to shoot you down, I promise you. And plus, we don't have that much time left. However, I will have to point this out. A plane from Qatar, which people usually call Qatar, that President Trump accepted and gave to the Air Force, as well as multiple and various other trips to the Middle East, as well as releasing a criminal, pardoning a criminal from prison, a presidential pardon, who had a hand in assisting his business for his sons in Bitcoin. I'm saying that so that you begin to tread lightly about the connections that you make when it comes to people doing stuff with money.
And let's not forget about the federal government's equity stakes in certain
Wait a
American
minute.
companies.
Yeah.
We don't know who's buying that.
Hold on a second.
And lastly, like I was gonna say, is that by January of this year, when New Yorkers move out, don't undercharge them.
I like that.
Hold on.
Damn it, I'm missing everything. I can't hear anybody.
Wait a minute.
I would suggest the opposite: overcharge them.
So I want to go to the pardon situation.
Yeah.
I bet you can get bipartisan support in both parties that they will not remove the pardon power from the president. Wait, that may be in the Constitution, so they may not be able to do it that easily.
I was about to say, Congress doesn't have control over that whatsoever.
Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to pardoning, remember when President Biden pardoned himself or he pardoned his whole family before they would even charge or anything? And I said he has no choice, even though he said he would never pardon his son. I said, if you got a son and you a daddy and you love your child, you're going to pardon him and everybody in your family to make sure that when the crazy person comes to the White House that you deem to be crazy, that he can't come for your family because you know he's coming.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with President Biden doing that. And they said, well, he lied. You show me a man who loves his child, who ain't going to lie to protect his child. Show me a mother who ain't going to lie to protect her children. Okay? So parents are going to do what they got to do to take care of their kids. Hell, if they got to lie to get you into a college you don't really deserve, and they got to go to prison, well, hey,
I mean, Trump. Come on, Trump would lie to protect his Happy Meal. Like this isn't extreme measures here.
Well,
You know,
I think like what the gentleman was just speaking is correct, right? That's like Biden over and over and over again said he wouldn't do it, over and over and over and over again, and then he did, and then with like Adam Schiff, right? You know, like people remember that kind of stuff. You know, like you're like, yeah, you're like.
I'll tell you why, though. I'll tell you why. So I'm actually very good friends with someone in the Biden family, who's not in the political realm, but I happen to have some insight, behind the scenes with that. And so the thing is this, Biden, when he ran for president, he didn't run for president because he wanted the job. He ran for president because he felt the country needed him, because we couldn't survive another Trump term the way that things were going. And that was genuinely why he ran, was for the people. And, his cognition absolutely took a decline. No question about it. And he definitely had his issues. However, towards the end of the presidency, when he realized who was coming into office, knowing that anything with Trump, by the way, is admission by accusation. If he says that the Democrats are doing it, it's only because that's what he's doing, and he wants it to look tit for tat. And so he knew that if Trump was coming into office, and Hunter Biden was a platform that he was running on, he was going to crucify Hunter Biden and make sure that he had the worst chance of everything in life, in terms of sentencing, in terms of, the consequences for anything that could happen to him. And he said, you know what? Given the extenuating circumstances, I'm going to pardon my son, because I know that the consequences that he's going to be levied by this person coming into office, who really wants to weaponize the justice system, as referenced by his prosecution of all the people that went after him. He said, I'm going to pardon my son, because this is no longer going to be an atmosphere of justice. It's going to be an atmosphere of retribution.
So you're saying you're okay with what the Democrats did to Trump because they knew Trump was going to do it to them. That's literally
Trump did this to himself. The Democrats, to be clear, didn't do this to Trump. He committed these crimes, and he was held accountable.
Russian collusion, that was actually a hoax. It's legitimately a hoax.
It was not a hoax. It was not a hoax. And the only reason that you think it was a hoax was because the Republican Congress, the Republican Senate, refused to hear the evidence. And when they finally were presented with it, they gave it all of a half a second before saying, nope, never mind. We're not listening to this. But there's so much evidence that demonstrates that Trump and Putin have an alliance. In fact, it can be, you can see it from this presidential term, because he let Putin right in the back door. Putin has every piece of secure information and classified information in this country. They let them right in. And you know what he said? He directed every single person in the cybersecurity division of this country to do nothing if there's if someone penetrates our firewalls.
Wait a minute, hold on, Keith, because I can't disagree with the things you're saying. Not totally. My question is, Keith, I also believe that President Trump and President Putin have a strong alliance. What I am shocked by is the resolve of the Ukrainians and the country of Ukraine to not give in, to fight Russia and hold its ground, and that President Trump hasn't just basically given Ukraine to Russia on a gold platter.
That's true.
To a point. But yeah, absolutely. I can agree with that. But he's tried. His peace resolution was, Ukraine giving up land that Russia hadn't even taken, so that Russia would back off. And it sends exactly the wrong message when you give in to tyranny and say, okay, maybe they don't get the whole thing, but cut off half our limbs. And the thing is, Russia, the reason that they invaded Ukraine is a couple of things. Putin wants to reestablish the Soviet Union and potentially expand it. The other thing is that they wanted access to the Black Sea trade routes. And so by getting those Black Sea trade routes, they can bring in whatever weapons from anywhere that they want, and they're going to wage war on far more than just Ukraine if they get it. And so they've built an alliance with North Korea. They've built an alliance with China, who doesn't really like them, but they see that they're aligned in their goals. And so, this is literally an attempt at shifting the axis of power simply by taking Ukraine, and I think a lot of people overlook that.
All right, gentlemen, we have to begin to shift. I cannot allow this to go for 2 hours.
Yes, you can.
Of course you can.
You're the boss.
No,
You're the
can't.
president.
You're retired now.
You're
You're
the
good.
CEO. You're the chairman of the board. You're
Yeah.
the minister.
Listen, it's a
I
lot
agree
of,
with them. Of course you can.
lot of
The pharaoh.
a lot of work. So, with that being said, for 30 seconds, I'm gonna give everybody a quick 30 seconds. Let me hold on, give me a second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. First off, this is the most people we've had on the panel ever while doing this, so I appreciate you all for being here. 30 seconds for each one. I'm timing it tonight. I'm timing it tonight. I'm gonna mute you at 30 seconds. I'm muting you at 30 seconds.
Wait, this is 30 seconds for what?
Oh, thank you for saying that. So we are about to transition into around the horn, where you get to say your final piece. I wanted to get to one more thing, but we'll have to probably do that next week when more information comes out. And it was about Nigeria, but we've got to push forward. So we're going around the horn, and you get to say your last piece for 30 seconds, uninterrupted, unquestioned, unbothered by anyone else on the panel. Everybody else will simply listen and hear you speak. It will be your time to shine. And as a matter of fact, Keith, since this is your first time on the panel, I will allow you to actually go first. Give me a second. I'm gonna change the music to show that we're getting into this. Then I'm gonna get
Some Jeopardy theme song music.
And then, wait, and this is to speak on what specifically?
anything you want. If you got new pieces for your mic coming out, if you've got a new version of your mic coming out, anything you want, put your information out there. It's all you. And I am switching you over to the big screen right now. Right now it's showing Lynn's handsome face, but I'm switching that over to Keith Ross, and it's on you for Around the Horn.
All right. So I'm just gonna say this. I definitely appreciate you for having me. I'm not even going to promote anything of my own, but I am going to say that, whoever believes whatever they believe, I hope that there's a shift in this country that moves towards treating each other with more respect and treating each other with more dignity and kindness. And I hope that people in this country will stand up for each other rather than put each other down to step on them to get to where they want to go. And with that, I yield back all my time.
My man, I appreciate you, Keith. Next up, Mr. Man in the High Castle. I wish you would have came on sooner so we could have heard a lot more from you. I absolutely appreciate your voice, but your 30 seconds start now.
Don't trip. Thank you very much, everyone on the panel. As I was trying to say earlier on tonight, is that I believe that there's a connection with Project 2030 agenda. And I believe that as you see this year, 2026, the Texas Stock Exchange will open up. Also, the New York Stock Exchange, a lot of people will be transferring over to the Texas Stock Exchange in response to the Mayor Mandani. We have to be concerned about Sharia law.
It's your time.
And also, most importantly,
I know you want to try to get it in.
The smart city of Neom and Saudi Arabia too.
There's too many of us. All right. Oscar, you up. 30 seconds. Oscar, are you there? Oscar going once. Oscar going Twice. All right, we'll switch you out with Lee. Lee, 30 seconds. And you are starting now.
I am very grateful for being on the podcast. Appreciate it. Brother, I will say congratulations to worshipful elect Arguello Jr. and to see my two best friends on this planet that I've had in California, Jason Huxon Crater and Oscar Arguello, to be masters together. That would be freaking awesome. I'm very, very grateful. And thank you for the privilege of being able to express a voice.
All right. Man, you did that in 25 seconds. Let's see. Come on, work. There we go. Oscar, you back?
I am back. Can you hear me?
All right. Yeah, my man. You got 30 seconds pushing now.
All right. 30 seconds of fame. Yeah, I'm going to have to echo what we heard earlier. We need to get to a place that we can respect each other's ideologies, that we can meet in a common ground, that we can make legislation, pass laws that work for all Americans, or at least to the best of our abilities. We cannot afford today, in this time, to be divided in a time where China, Russia, and our enemies are trying to gain traction, and they are gaining traction. That is all.
Man, y'all are killing this. Lynn, you are up.
So I got the funeral 30 seconds or just 30 seconds?
We got 30 seconds. Man.
I'm kidding. You know, what I think humanity has the capability of, but doesn't work on is fairness and understanding. And when you're fair and you're understanding on purpose, then you can have a productive dialogue and actually get some things accomplished. But when everybody decides they're just going to dig into their own little fiefdom and not hear the other side of what people are saying, this kind of behavior is going to continue, unfortunately. And that's all I have.
Man, that's 25 seconds in. My goodness. Rich, 30 seconds.
I'm gonna take those 2 5s and call it 10 and add it to my 30. No, I'm just teasing.
What a Trump thing to do.
Take my 5 seconds. Come on, man.
So, all seriousness, I am truly amazed by the incredible people tonight. We've had liberals, conservatives, and independents. I'm so glad that Keith Lee and Lynn came back. Tonight was really an amazing conversation because we talked a little this, a little that. We talked about issues that you're not really supposed to talk about. And everybody did it with respect and dignity. And I'm done.
Man, Deuce.
Love it.
Love it.
Yo, just like the Dodgers, baby, a blue wave is coming.
Gross.
World Series, just like the Gems are coming back. Nah, man, I think America works best with balance, man. I think we got a two-party system now. I hate it, but with balance, most people are represented. I like everyone here tonight. We have varying ideals, and like Rich said, we talked about the respect. Everyone honored the ideal, not attack the person. That's dope. I think this is a replica of what America should be like, man. People from varying points articulating the ideals, and everyone's trying to get to the bottom of it and find a solution and find a bridge, man. That bridge to nowhere needs to be a bridge back to America. That's all I got.
Man, y'all are amazing.
Hell yeah.
So my around the horn thing is this is a warning for Democrats.
Does that 30 seconds apply to you too? Because you're always the longest.
He's the longest, man.
It's your show. It's
Calm
your
down.
I'm about to end it real quick. Back in the situation that you are in now. Don't get complacent. This is just a small battle in the huge war. So stay vigilant, keep pushing. I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, I'm an independent, but I believe in America. I believe the American dream can come back, and I believe that this panel is proof that things can happen when we actually discuss different topics. So with that being said, that's all I got. And as always, thank y'all for coming out. God bless and night. Got to hit this end button.